Good evening, Wine Live here at the Coast Guard House in August. It's a beautiful evening outside. Had to find some space, so I'm cuddled up here in our red wine room to talk about some labeling terms that is used in Italian production. Thought that would be interesting using the flashcards. But I did also want to let everybody know we're still running our Summer of Albarino that I went over in our last Wine Live. It runs through Monday the 16th, so come on down for a flight of 4 Albarinos with octopus, without octopus, or just you want to try a glass of Albarino. We have 4 different styles. So getting back to terms used on wine labels, specifically we're going to talk about Italy. This maybe help you to go through a wine list and maybe pick out what you, or eliminate what you don't want or what you expect. As well as help you when you're a consumer going out to the store and buying your own bottle of Italian wine. So one of the first things that you can see is Vino di Tavola, which it's now just called Vino, but a lot of the terms in Italy, they tend to use sometimes the older terms, not the newer terms. So this just means it's wine. It's really kind of an entry level. You can find very interesting things under this style of wine, but it's also freestyling for a winemaker, so it allows them to do things that don't fall into the other categories we're going to talk about and source grapes from a wide area. So Vino di Tavola. Our next term, which I'm going to bring in some of the wines we have here, is IGT. So IGT stands for Indicazione Geografica Tipica. So what does that mean? So that means that there's a specific area they can source the grapes from. It's a larger region, but it is a specific region. With that being said, they can freewheel with what grapes they use, which may not be able to when we talk about the next 2 labeling terms. But it is, you'll see IGT a lot on Italian wines. So when we're looking at that here, we have a IGT wine here, which is a Chardonnay from Tuscany. And that allows the winemaker to make a Chardonnay in that region, and it's specific to Tuscany. We also have a IGT wine here, which is a Cabernet Sauvignon, again from Tuscany. So it is a wine that's not typical for Tuscany, but it falls under that IGT rules. We're going to go up to getting into rules now. So DOC is a popular term, and a lot of times you can see it on the top of the label here. That's not, I'm trying to see, I don't have a DOC out here, but with the DOC we will have a wine that has some rules that apply to winemaking, grapes that can be grown, alcohol levels, and a specific region. So, and it's governed by basically the government. So you have DOC, which in Italian is Denominazione di Origine Contratta, so controllata, which is getting smaller in your rules. So then if we go to your DOCG here, so this means like a controlled area. This is a controlled and guaranteed area. So now we're getting even tighter on your rules. So what do these things mean? They basically mean they have to follow these rules that make it typical for the wine and the region. So you can be guaranteed of what the style is going to be. Okay, and a lot of times this is a small area and this is a smaller area, but not always. Some other terms that you will see on Italian wines is superiori. Superiori means, again, if you're in like a DOCG with superiori, it will have a higher regulated maybe alcohol content that you have to hit. That's one of the most popular things when you look at that. Reserva, that's another terminology which will go towards aging typically, so it'll have longer aging on the wine. And then this is an interesting one because it comes up a lot, Classico. So Classico is the historic region of that, say, DOC, DOCG, which makes it a lot where the original area was planted. So as the popularity, say, of that grew, we'll give Chianti, for instance, where it started to grow, it had a region which is considered Classico now, that expanded to maybe not the best regions for within that region to grow, say, Sangiovese. So Classico, will tell you, is from the original area where it was intended to do that. We also have Vigna, which we have one of those right here on our Arnese. And that means basically it's a single vineyard, single area, and this is the Trentina area for Malviera's Arnese. So if you see that, you'll know that it's a real specific area, vineyard. Something that's interesting that I have people ask is what's the difference between Frizzante and Spumante? So the differences are, you're talking about something like that is not as bubbly. Moscato d'Asti is a Frizzante, so it's lightly sparkling, where your Spumante is going to be more like your champagne. Or like in this case from Italy, Franciacorta will be something that would be considered that way. And then kind of getting into some more talking about what flavors to expect or what kind of wine. You have secco, which means dry. You have dolce, that means sweet. So that if you see either one of those on the label, you'll know what to expect. They also have terms for kind of midway in between, as well as to the side of being dry a little bit with a little bit of sweetness. So all of these wines have some sort of terminology that we just discussed on the Italian wine side. And to see that we have like a DOCG, Moscato d'Asti, we know it's Frizzante, it's from a region that really controls what they do there because it is a DOCG. That goes the same for looking at this Roero area within the Piedmont region. And then we had our freestyle here with your Cabernet, your Chardonnay, both Tuscan, where they are doing a little, and that's really how Super Tuscan came about, is that they wanted to go outside the rules, so they didn't want to be a DOC or DOCG. And then you have like our Brunello here, which the DOCG for this, mandates what grapes, how long you have to age it. If it's a Reserva, it's going to be longer aging for that. And then kind of rounding out, we have a Chianti DOCG, and then we have a Rosso del Montalcino here as well. So just a little bit of our Italian portfolio. We have quite a few Italian wines, and it's always changing here at the Coast Guard House. We're rolling out some new wines by the glass in the next week or so, and new cocktails too. We're changing up the cocktail list a little bit, so make sure you come on down and have a nice evening or a nice afternoon. The deck is open at 4 o'clock every day into the evening for beverages, and the weather's been really great. So we'll see you down here at the Coast Guard House. Have a good night.